Welcome to the Global Issues Daily. You know, right beneath the surface of the Pacific Northwest lies a sleeping giant. It's the Cascadia Subduction Zone, a roughly 1,000-kilometer fault that is widely considered to be the most dangerous in North America. Well, recently, an automated seismic monitor captured a highly unusual pattern of activity there, and it's data that has absolutely commanded the attention of geologists and seismologists worldwide. So today, in this explainer, we're breaking down the science of this recent seismic event, what it reveals about the fault's underlying mechanics, and exactly what it means for our future. Let's dive in.
The story begins with a very specific number, 307. In just a single night, 307 completely silent tremor signals registered simultaneously across this massive fault line. Now, these tremors were entirely imperceptible to anyone standing on the surface. Nobody felt a thing. Yet to the scientists monitoring the data, they were a blaring signal that the deepest, hidden reaches of the fault were actively on the move.
Section 1. The Silent Awakening. Tracking Cascadia's Deep Tremors. Usually, when a seismic network logs tremors, they tend to cluster in one localized spot. But this time, the activity lit up the entire 1,000-kilometer fault all at once. We're talking from the far northern end near Vancouver Island all the way down to the far southern end offshore of Northern California. Every single segment in between flickered to life. To really grasp the gravity of this, we need to clarify what exactly we're looking at here. You see, an earthquake is a sudden, violent release of energy. The ground snaps and you feel that shaking immediately. A tremor, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. It's a faint, continuous, silent creep. It's like a low seismic chatter that can go on for days or even weeks. Honestly, without highly sensitive, purpose-built instruments, we would literally never even know it was happening.
But layered right on top of this margin-wide silent tremor was a single, localized event, a magnitude 2.6 earthquake. It struck at the southern end of the zone, right offshore of Northern California. Now you might be thinking, on any ordinary fault, a 2.6 magnitude quake is practically a non-event, right? But the location is what really matters here. It struck roughly 16 miles, or about 26 kilometers, below the seafloor. This was a stress quake, perfectly aligned with those ongoing silent tremors.
Section 2. Anatomy of a Fault, the Whispering Lower Zone.
So why do these silent tremors and small stress quakes happen so far underground? Well, it all comes down to the precise mechanics of depth, temperature, and pressure. The fault actually behaves completely differently depending on how deep you look. This brings us to a really fascinating phenomenon known as episodic tremor and slip. Near the surface, the fault is cold and totally locked. The tectonic plates are just jammed together, storing up strain like a tightly wound spring. But further down, 16 miles deep, the rock is hot. Down there, the plates don't lock and snap, they creep silently. And as this deep, hot zone slowly slides, it actually transfers upward stress. That sliding pushes against the shallow, locked zone, winding that upper spring just a fraction tighter. The absolutely crucial point here is where this stress is accumulating most urgently. Remember that fresh activity in the small stress quake? They were clustered at the southern segment of the fault. You see, Cascadia doesn't behave uniformly from top to bottom. That southern segment actually runs on a much shorter fuse than the rest of the margin. And right now, this stretch offshore of southern Oregon and northern California is furthest past its historical average for a major rupture.
Section 3. The Orphan Tsunami, Unearthing 1700.
To really understand what happens when that locked upper spring finally snaps, we have to look to the past. The last time the entire Cascadia fault let go, the results were globally catastrophic. And putting the pieces of that event together, it required some of the most elegant detective work in Earth's. On the evening of January 26, 1700, at roughly 9 p.m., the fault violently ruptured, registering an estimated 9.0 magnitude. About 9 to 10 hours later, a massive tsunami struck the coast of Japan. Because no local earthquake was felt in Japan, historical texts actually dubbed it an orphan tsunami. It took nearly 300 years to find the parent. By analyzing the tree rings of drowned ghost forests in the Pacific Northwest, these were trees killed by sudden saltwater flooding when the coastline abruptly dropped. Scientists were able to pinpoint the exact night Cascadia unleashed its fury. To put the sheer physical scale of that 1700 event into perspective, during those few minutes of violent shaking, the tectonic plates lurched past each other by an estimated 62 feet. Just think about that. That is a shift taller than a 5-story building, happening along the length of the entire Pacific Northwest coastline.
Section 4. The Fragmenting North, the Explorer Plate.
Shifting our focus from that southern segment all the way up to the far northern edge off Vancouver Island, advanced seismic imaging has revealed a pretty wild modern anomaly. The subducting ocean slab in the north isn't sinking as one clean, smooth sheet. Instead, the Explorer plate is literally fragmenting. It's tearing itself apart. Researchers have described it as looking less like a plate smoothly sliding into the earth and more like a train slowly derailing. There is currently a crack 35 kilometers long and 5 kilometers deep dropping straight down through solid rock. Over the next million years, this plate is actually projected to fully detach.
Now, it's absolutely vital we place this anomaly in its proper context so we don't jump to conclusions. This structural fragmentation is happening on a million-year timescale. It does not alter the near-term earthquake danger in the main locked zone offshore of Oregon, Washington, and California. A plate tearing at the far northern corner doesn't drain, nor does it increase the stored stress where the great earthquakes actually originate.
Section 5. Calculating the risk. The 50-year outlook.
So what is the actual risk? By reading layers of the seafloor and coastal marshes, scientists have tracked roughly 19 great earthquakes over the last 6,500 years. Based on this concrete paleoseismic record, over the next 50 years, the odds of a full margin, magnitude 9.0 rupture, basically a repeat of that devastating 1700 event, are estimated at roughly 10 to 15%. This is the worst case scenario, one that would generate violent shaking and a tsunami reaching the coast in mere minutes. And make no mistake, a 15% chance within the span of a single human lifetime is a highly significant figure.
However, we also have to weigh this against a more localized scenario. The 50-year probability of a partial rupture strictly on the southern segment generating a magnitude 8.0 or larger quake sits significantly higher, ranging from 30 to 37%, which, as you'll notice, aligns directly with what we just saw. The southern segment is currently showing the most urgent seismic stress signals.
This leads us to the concept of the recurrence interval. That's just the average time span between major earthquakes on a specific fault segment. While the full margin breaks average roughly every 500 years, the southern segment operates on a tighter schedule of 200 to 300 years. Considering the last major break was in 1700, we're currently at year 326, meaning we are well past the southern segment's historical average.
Section 6. Vigilance, not panic. Reading the signals.
So how do we interpret all this data responsibly? Well, understanding the science means avoiding unscientific doomsday predictions. The overarching risk profile tells us the engine is definitely running. The fault's loading mechanism is active. However, this is not a predictable countdown to an imminent earthquake. Margin-wide tremor episodes are actually a normal feature of this fault's behavior, and almost every time they end with no immediate disaster. The data gives us a risk profile for sure, but it does not give us a specific day, month, or year. The very best course of action is to monitor public seismic networks, which provide this data openly to everyone.
In the coming days and weeks, scientists are going to be watching the public tremor maps to answer one immediate question. Will the southern segment quietly fade back into background noise, or will it cluster into a defined, prolonged slip episode? Furthermore, they're going to watch to see if that single 2.6 magnitude stress quake remains isolated or if it spawns a cluster, which would indicate a more meaningful redistribution of the fault's load.
Because here is the sober reality of living near Cascadia. There will be no felt warning before the locked zone finally breaks. The silent tremors cannot be translated into a daily forecast. The loading is very real and it is ongoing. Preparedness, having a plan, knowing your local tsunami evacuation zones is absolutely essential, precisely because the fault will offer no advance notice when the time finally comes. Which leaves us with this final, powerful thought regarding the Cascadia subduction zone. The clock has been running for 326 years, and it has not stopped. These recent tremors, they didn't start the clock. They merely reminded us that it's ticking. So when that clock finally strikes zero, will our modern infrastructure be ready to weather the storm, or will we be caught off guard? Stay vigilant, stay prepared, and thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to subscribe to the Global Issues Daily for more rigorous, data-driven analysis on the forces shaping our world.